Well, Kim and I are talking about It's a Wonderful Life. Record scratch, actually, It's a Wonderful Knife. That's what we're talking about.
But for the record, It's a Wonderful Life is one of my favorite movies.
Is
So
I mean, the thing is, it's so weirdly, I just watched that for the first time like 2 years ago. Like I had just never seen it for whatever reason.
we watch it
And
every Christmas Eve for
yeah,
my whole
and I
life.
thought it was good, but I think it's one of those movies that if I had watched a lot when I was younger, I probably would have had more of like a soft spot for it,
Yeah.
you know?
My
Um,
sister's Christmas party that she just had, there were a lot of trivia questions about It's a Wonderful Life, and I was the only one that got them right. And everyone was like, "What is this movie? What are you even talking about?" And then she put it on at one point, and they were like, "It's black and white? What? This is the movie you guys love?" And I'm like, "Yeah." "You
feel
watched
like
it
that's
like
the one.
this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we did."
Yeah. So this movie, It's a Wonderful Knife, very
Mhm.
clearly plays on
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
much the same premise of It's a
As
Wonderful
it
Life.
should, as it should. I
Yeah,
wanted it
as
to.
it should. And as I told you when we were testing about this, I actually saw some shades of Totally Killer, which is another movie we reviewed,
Yeah.
present here a little bit, not really, but a little bit. So,
Yeah.
we can, I think, summarize the plot of this pretty quickly. And if you know It's a Wonderful Life, you kind of have a sense actually of what well, not exactly the plot, but kind of the general premise of this whole idea
Pretty
of
much, yeah.
what if I didn't exist? What would
Yeah.
things be like? All of that kind of stuff. But I just have to say from the outset, I do think it's funny that Justin Long has basically made a career out of just showing up in the most random horror things ever.
Yes, and
That's
I
Leia walking around behind
yes.
me, not knife person, but yeah.
Oh, too bad.
Yeah, I know, right?
We've talked a lot about that, and I loved Justin Long in this movie. What I like so much about him being in these obscure horror movies is that he's playing a dick. Like
Yeah,
in Tusk, in Barbarian, in this, he plays a jerk. And it's funny to me, I don't know him personally, but I feel like he's not in real life. Like everything I've seen
right.
of him and the roles I've seen him play that made me fall in love with him were always very sweet. And so that's my favorite part. It's not that he's showing up in these obscure horror movies as like the nice guy. He is very much either the villain or the antagonist or someone that you don't necessarily empathize with.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because he's got kind of I don't want to say a southern accent, but he has a weird kind of accent in
He
this
does have a weird
movie,
accent in this movie. Yeah.
which because I mean, I don't know that it's supposed to be set in the South necessarily.
No, I got it's well, they are supposed I think it's supposed to be like Midwest or
Right.
maybe Canada because they talk about being like close to the Arctic Circle. Like so
Because of the Aurora Borealis and
yeah,
all of
so
that
there maybe it's
stuff.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah, I
knows?
don't know. I don't know, but
Matter,
you're
doesn't
totally correct
matter.
that I mean, he's like just the total jerk guy that he ends up being in a lot of other horror
Yeah.
movies. He's the mayor of this town, which I can't what was the name of the town? I can't even remember what it was
Angel
called.
Falls. Angel
Ain't
Falls.
What was the name of the town in It's a Wonderful Life? I mean, was
So
it
that
I
was
don't
a
remember.
trivia question that I got right. Bedford
Okay,
Falls.
Bedford Falls. Okay, so again, kind of spoofing on the whole thing, but the I guess the because this is really a slasher, and so I guess
Yeah.
the killer is like the angel killer is what they call this person because he's
Yeah.
dressed sort of like an angel. He's got like a blank face with a white
Yeah.
robe, and I don't know. It's a little bit weird. I didn't fully understand the choice of the killer. I guess the whole angel gets its wings thing from It's a Wonderful Life,
Well,
right? Which
I saw the angel figure of the killer being like the person like they reference it like the person saving the town like kind of I don't I mean I do think there is some sort of nod to It's a Wonderful Life, but I feel like there's also literal direct references to Clarence and George Bailey in the script, so that
yeah,
to me they knew where they wanted to reference It's a Wonderful Life. I don't know. I think that the killer was a choice that was more about that particular story as well. To me,
yeah.
it felt justified. I didn't have an issue with it.
Okay, the basic premise we've already kind of talked about it, but
Yeah.
without going beat by beat through the entire story, the basic premise is this young woman is part of this family with a very successful son. She's got a sibling, and so she gets really frustrated. And honestly, I mean, this doesn't necessarily speak to the quality of the movie or anything, but I can't even remember what her initial impetus was for being all upset and being like, "I wish I was never here," like going through the whole thing. Like I can't remember at the very beginning, like what the whole situation was there.
So the premise is that in okay, so kind of doing a plot thing, like kills happen very early, which I
Yes,
loved.
yes,
So people are
I did too.
dying right from the beginning, and she reveals, I mean, are we like she reveals who is killing these people in the opening sequence, and she kills him. So she has
Right,
killed the angel killer and revealed who it was. And her best friend is one of the people that die at this party, and it's a year later, and she
right.
doesn't
And you know what?
feel.
And I'm going to say spoiler here. I think we can just say who the killer is because I'm going to put a spoiler thing in it, so it's totally fine if you want to disclose
Yeah,
that. That's up to you.
that's fine. Well,
Yeah,
because she reveals that the killer in the opening sequence is, what was it? Henry Waters, Harry Waters, something.
yeah. I want to say Henry, but I could
It's
be wrong
Henry or
there.
Harry, I believe, or
Let's see. I'm going to double check.
It's something H
I'm double
Waters.
checking. It's Henry.
Okay,
Henry Waters. I'm looking at it
Henry
now. Yeah.
Waters, and and then it's a year later, and she doesn't feel like people have let her grieve. Now her family has sort of become the leading real estate family, and everybody's moved on, and nobody's letting her grieve, and everybody just wants to act. And she finds out her boyfriend is cheating on her, but she doesn't really care. And like, so I think she's gotten to this point of like, I I do think it's a little bit of a leap from this all sucks to I everybody would be better off if I wasn't around. Like that to me didn't feel totally motivated. It like I would have been fine if they had maybe taken a creative liberty and she just didn't want to exist. Like
Yeah.
I'd be happier if I didn't exist or something like that. Like,
I mean, that's
I don't
kind
know.
of what happens, right? I mean, isn't that the whole thing? Like, I mean, with her when she makes the wish under the northern lights or
Yeah.
whatever, and then yeah. So anyway, it is a weird.
Basically, because they're trying to play off It's a Wonderful Life, where the premise is that George Bailey feels like I don't know, there's a lot going on, but this idea of everyone would be better off without me is what they were trying to establish, and I don't think that they established that in It's a Wonderful Knife.
Right. Yeah, and I
I
think
think
I
they
told you after
justify it in the after she comes back, like she does realize very much the town is better with her in it
yeah,
because
she
if
stops
she
a
doesn't kill
variety of
the
murders
person,
and
the murders
yeah.
continue, which I loved. I really, really liked that particular plot point because I kept watching and I'm like, what are they going to do with this? What is going to be the reason for this person not exist? Why should? And then I was like, oh, so I didn't love the motivation to get there, but once it happened, I really enjoyed how it played out.
Yeah, I think, and I remember after I finished watching it, it was kind of late at night, but we were messaging back and forth a little bit, and I was like, for some reason, the movie to me felt like a fever dream. Like I don't, it was weird. Like there was something about it, the way it was kind of stitched together, that I was like, I think part of it too came down to I just didn't believe that the town was real. Like I compare this to thanks. I almost said Thanksgiving again. Thanksgiving. Like I really bought into
Yes.
like that community and Thanksgiving, whereas here I was kind of like it felt like a thinly sketched out stage of characters as opposed to a whole town. Like I don't
No,
know.
it really did. And I would even say I'm okay with it because of the movie itself and its overall aesthetic. But that was one of my notes, was especially the main character. To me, I wasn't I liked some of the secondary characters. I loved Weirdo. I loved Weirdo
Yeah,
and Aunt Gail. They were
Weirdo
my
was
two
cool. I did
favorite.
like Weirdo.
Yeah, they were my two favorite characters. They were the most interesting to watch. So I do feel like they, from the opening scene, kind of established these stereotypical characters and then didn't really do much to change that for the main people. So I agree. I wonder if your fever dream experience, because I didn't feel that way. I the thing I liked the most is also kind of the thing that I liked the least. It happened all very quickly.
Yeah.
Like, to me, the pacing was strong. Like, things happened fast. There were lots of deaths. Like, no part of this movie dragged for me. So
Yeah.
that could feel like a fever dream. Like, it's just constantly. Sorry about that. I don't know who Packers is barking at. Now, Packers, stop, come here. I don't. What do you want from me? I don't. I don't. I can't help
No,
it.
I totally get it. My one of my dogs is up here with me right now.
No, stop it. Fluffy puppy. He just got a bath. And so that might be it. But then, and I liked the pacing, but then I felt like my criticism was there was very little suspense. Like,
Yeah.
like the lead up to a kill, all the kills happened very quickly, not always the most creatively. And I feel like this is
Well,
a movie where you could have had very creative kills.
and that, I mean, I guess that would be another kind of criticism. And it wasn't like necessarily terrible, but like when she's in her alternate reality where
Yeah.
she doesn't exist and she goes to see her dad, who has no idea that he is her dad because she doesn't exist. And they're trying to make a connection, and he's always just like super angry and mad and won't listen to anything, which I kind of get. But I don't know. Like, I guess dramatically, it just felt a little bit stilted. I mean, not like terribly so or anything. But when I finished watching it, one of the first things I thought about was like, if somebody were to try to make an R-rated Hallmark Channel movie, it kind of felt something like that.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know,
would agree with that.
a
That
little
that
bit.
seems accurate. An
Yeah.
R-rated Hallmark movie,
Which I
which
mean, that's not necessarily
I
a
like.
bad thing. It was just a little bit different than I expected it to be, I guess. But
I
no,
do
like from a
think
horror
that
movie perspective, I was never scared. Like, I mean, I was
no,
never like, you
no.
know,
But that's I don't know. I don't know that that's going to happen anymore.
well, we were
Um,
talking about that with slashers and like
that's
recently with Thanksgiving,
Well,
I
and
think. Like,
that's why I want to watch the new Exorcist movie because you like the original Exorcist is one of the movies that traumatized me the most. And so, excuse me, and I do get scared by like possession movies. And so
yeah.
I'm curious, will that movie scare me? Because I don't know. That's a whole other thing I'm sure we'll figure out. But I do agree that the plot point with the dad kind of they pushed it. There was like more than one moment where he's telling her, "No, no, get out of my house." La la la. Maybe they didn't need both of those
Well,
moments.
to me, it was that, and then like his wife is just like with this other guy while he's just walking around. I'm like, what? What? Like,
And so that felt ridiculous, but they do reference and this is where maybe they could have done more to show well, I say they could have done more to show this in the town. Maybe they did, and I didn't catch on to it because I don't like this particular moment. So by the end of the movie, they're trying to push this idea that like he has created this town of like drones of people who have just sort of given up because they've lost everything and he owns
right?
everything. And so the mom fits into that, right? Like I don't it's not supposed to feel real. And I wonder now, having said that, if the stoners who we spend like a significant amount of time with in the alternate reality were supposed to be indicative of that, but I really disliked them. They were my least favorite part of the movie. They felt totally unnecessary. And if it was supposed to build this, we've created a town of people that just get high and drink and don't care,
Well,
then
and I was
that
like,
needed to be established more intentionally for me.
well, and it was almost like, are all these people like smoking crack? Is that what's going on here? Like, it just I mean, like it was just
Maybe.
a random thing where like, what? Why is this like a thing? I mean, I guess because of just how downtrodden and depressed everybody is, or whatever. I guess. I mean, I don't know. It was, but
And
that part,
yeah, and I do think it's that. And think about in It's a Wonderful Life when the town in the alternate reality is sort of downtrodden. It's like strip clubs and bars and like
yeah.
today, we'd be like, okay, cool, whatever. Like, bring your
it's,
kid, just give them a tablet while you watch the strip show. So
it's
now it's like, what can we do that people today would be like, this town is real bad?
Well, it's
And
almost like, and this is a little bit of a deep cut, but it's almost like Back to the Future 2 when Biff is ruling over like alternate 1985, and it's
oh
just like
yeah,
gross and just the whole
yeah,
thing, like a little bit of that sort of thing. But to get back to your drone point, so and I'm sure you remember this, like at the very end, they all have green eyes, and I'm like,
yeah.
was that something that did that happen earlier in the movie at some point? I just didn't see it, or was
Not
that
that
like
I'm
the first time?
aware of. Not
Yeah,
yeah, and I bought into it for the moment that I needed to. I mean, it only lasted like 30 seconds and then
right, yeah.
it ends. But that's where I feel like they had this idea and they planted some scenes but nobody ever really went back and watched to make sure that it all connected so that it felt like by the end we were like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so overall, right, and I'm trying to think if there are any other like key moments. I mean, we kind of glossed over, I guess, at the beginning of the deaths. I mean, the I thought the beginning of the movie was actually really strong, where
I
this
Yeah, I
killer,
really liked the beginning. That's like
yeah,
when she takes off his mask, I'm like, I'm confused. Is this a
like right,
short
yeah,
film? Like what? And then it says it's a wonderful knife and it's a year later. And I'm like, oh, and I don't, which is exactly what Thanksgiving did in a sense. And
yeah,
I'm sick of it, but I get it. And so it worked. It had its reason. And then the one thing I think they added to this that I didn't hate, but also I felt like wasn't pushed as much as it maybe needed to be was okay. So they established that our main girl is George Bailey and Weirdo is Clarence. And they say it, which I like that they're not even trying to like pretend. They know that they are
mhm,
doing It's a Wonderful Life. But then there's this kind of flip where the weirdo is like, no, you are Clarence because you saved me, because she was going to kill herself, apparently,
yeah,
this Christmas. And then, spoiler, at the end, when she comes back and life is all good again, she remembers, oh my God, weirdo, who she falls in love with, um,
yeah.
is going to kill herself. I got to stop her. And then weirdo remembers everything.
So I was, and that confused me a little bit. So I'm like, I don't. Is it the magic of the aurora
It
borealis that
is. It is
somehow
the
like?
magic.
Okay,
It is the magic
okay,
because we've said so. But that I didn't like that. I wanted her for the kind of not that she was the meanest person to weirdo in their life, but for how they had sort of ostracized and rejected this person, I wanted her to have to work to earn that relationship in her reality. And so
right.
I didn't like that weirdo remembered everything because then I felt like she didn't really have to earn that relationship again.
It did feel a little bit like kind of a cheap ending. I mean, just that it was
Yeah.
like, well, let's just write this in that she recalls exactly what
It
happened
would
or
have been, I think, very like moving if somehow, and I know it's kind of weird because if this person's gonna like kill themselves, like, and maybe she wasn't at home, I don't know if they could find a way to say like, oh, I was gonna jump off a bridge, or and maybe it was the same spot where she was at when she made her little wishy wish. If she had gone there and like stopped her and then been like, hey, do you want to come to my house for Christmas? And like, we know what's gonna happen because we know that when they start to get to know each other, they'll fall in love. But we didn't.
right.
I don't need to see that. I know that that's their future. I believe it, like give it, I don't know, so that was a big letdown for me in that moment.
Yeah. So I guess, well, first of all, are there any other like major moments in the movie that we should touch on? I mean, just anything else that like we haven't really dug into yet.
So again, spoiler, when she is in this alternate reality, she's like, okay, well, to get back I've got to kill Henry Waters so that I can go back. And they discover, which I knew this was coming, I don't know if you did or not, they discover that in this alternate reality, her father is the one that's
Right.
been killing people.
Yeah.
And I was not surprised when that happened. But I did appreciate that back at the end they brought it back to Henry Waters, that he had like that basically the dad had also become this sort of drone working for him, which they established I think well enough
Yeah.
to the point that he's now going to kill for him. Because I thought it was plausible even in the opening sequence that the dad could have been the killer.
Right. Yeah.
So
I mean, so I did not predict that. And I don't know if that was because I was just sort of, bought into the idea of Henry Waters because of the reveal at the beginning was going to be the same. It was going to be the same situation,
I
especially
mean, I
when she,
didn't predict it much in advance. It was as
yeah.
soon as the mom said, "Oh, there he goes," and he goes out all hours of the night. I was like, "Oh, he's the killer."
Well, and I kind of was hoping that they stuck with Henry a little bit, just because it would have been such a reversal of, like, a lot of slashers where you're trying to guess who it is the whole time. You just know that it's this
Yeah.
person, but
And it really was in the end still Henry
yeah,
Waters, and he still did the murders in the beginning. He killed the guy's son.
right,
And then that's what set him down this path of killing for him now. But I thought that was interesting.
yeah. So overall, would you say that you enjoyed it and you would recommend it? And
I did. I think I may have enjoyed it more than you.
yeah, I mean, the thing is, I didn't like hate it or anything like that. I would say that I thought it was kind of middling. Like, nothing bad about it. Like, it's totally fine to sit down and watch for an hour and 40 minutes, just for, like, for what it is, as far as like a mock version of It's a Wonderful Life in horror movie form. Like, totally appreciated that component of it, but I wouldn't say that I like liked it per se.
If you had to,
What's up, dude?
no, I gotta finish my meeting.
Can I just show you one thing?
No, you cannot show me one thing. I will be done very soon.
No,
okay?
I'm just gonna tell you it.
What are you gonna tell me?
The thing is in this episode of Spidey and His Amazing Friends. The thing.
Oh, the thing. Very cool. Get your hand out of your pants.
Where's my
Your pocket. Okay, thank you. Oh, my question for you is,
Yes,
if you had to choose to sit down and watch Thanksgiving or It's a Wonderful Knife, which movie would you choose to watch?
Thanksgiving.
See, and I
I mean,
would choose It's a Wonderful Knife.
really, that's
Mhm.
interesting. That's
Mhm.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think with Thanksgiving, I appreciated just a little bit more like the excessive gore and like the comedy embedded in it. But I
See,
mean,
I felt like It's a Wonderful Life had that comedy. It wasn't as I won't say in your face. It was, to me, a lot of the comedy was very subtle and just in like the delivery of some of the lines of the secondary characters, which I
yeah,
just thought was hilarious to me. And I do think the deaths, I will say the deaths in Thanksgiving are far more creative. I enjoy those deaths a lot more. I wish they had
yeah,
done more with those in this movie. Um, but I was skeptical going into it, knowing that It's a Wonderful Life is one of my favorite movies, and
yeah.
I would put It's a Wonderful Knife in my rotation of holiday films.
Nice. Well, that's good. I mean, I don't. Again, it's not one that I will probably revisit.
Oh, there
Wait,
you're
are you still there?
Yes.
There we go. Okay.
That's what I said.
So I don't know when I got cut off there, but what I was
You
saying was,
said, what'd you say? Oh, you said something about Thanksgiving.
I said, well, basically what I said was, I would not put it in my rotation, but at the same time, I feel like maybe you feel that way about Thanksgiving potentially. I mean, I don't know if that's accurate or not.
I would watch Thanksgiving again if like Matt and my mom were like, "Hey, we want to watch that." I would watch it with them.
Yeah.
I would watch It's a Wonderful Knife by myself. Like I've
Well,
got
that's yeah.
like I just want to watch it for myself while I'm like wrapping presents. I don't think I would put Thanksgiving on while I'm making pies.
While you're cooking the turkey, that whole scene. um. So yeah, I mean, again, I think it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's just not one that I feel like I'll go back and watch again. Like that's kind of where I landed with it mostly. So now we'll have to figure out. There's got to be other new Christmas horror things out there because we've got like a whole month in front of us to watch at least one more like Christmas horror thing. I want to see the new Godzilla movie. Actually, that's really what I want to go see
I
sometime
didn't
soon.
know there was going to be a new one.
Oh, Godzilla! Do you like Godzilla? Is that something that
I
you're
mean,
into?
it's not something that I like or dislike.
This is one. It's called Godzilla -1, which I don't really know. I don't understand the title, but it's like a Japanese made Godzilla film that's here in subtitles, and it's at like 96 or 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like people say it's amazing, it's really good. So I just want to go because I like Godzilla and monster movies in general. So, but yeah, we'll have to do a little research to see what we can unwrap when it comes to Christmas movies.
Well, and there's
It'll
always
blow on all of our reviews for the holiday season.
there's always the Black Christmas movies. I've
That's
seen
true.
those. I've seen
That,
them.
you know what? That's maybe we should do that. Should we do both of them? Because there's the original and the remake, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I've seen them both, but I don't remember.
Do you think that they're both worth watching? I mean, like, should we watch both of them?
I mean, definitely the original because I do think that it is part of the classic horror canon. It's not as popular as others, but I do think, and I personally, I liked the remake because I think it embodied the slasher movies of like the 2000s.
Right.
And
Yeah, which I still appreciate that
Yes.
era of stuff.
Yes.
So
that's why I think it's worth it. And then I'm gonna watch the new Exorcist movie, and I think the new Saw movie might be on Prime now. And
okay, it is on. I think it's on. I want to say Netflix. Maybe not. Maybe it is Prime because I saw it last night when I was kind of browsing something to
yeah,
watch.
it came up listed on my phone. Something you might like on Prime.
Well, so we will reconvene soon with probably, I guess, Black Christmas. We'll do the original and the remake, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But I know your schedule's super busy. Kim is directing right now.
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah,
auditioning for a show that I'm directing and directing. So many things.
we'll figure it out. I mean, I'm going to Virginia next weekend, but otherwise, like, we're gonna be home. So
yeah, and that's after that would probably be good. I'll be free.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, we'll sign off. Have fun directing tonight, and yeah, we'll be back soon.